So in this video, I thought it would be fun if I just sat down and I told you guys a story of how I got into the Friday the 13th franchise. And I did videos like this before in the past where I sat down and I told you guys how I got into the Halloween franchise, how I got into the Chucky franchise, and just recently I made a video talking to you guys how I got into the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And since Friday the 13th is probably one of my favorite series of all time when it comes to a lot of these slasher films, like if I had to name like two series that really stuck out to me that I happen to be a really big fan of when it comes to slashers, then those two series are Chucky and Friday the 13th. So it feels like this video was going to come out on the channel sooner or later because I have to get my love out there when it comes to Friday the 13th. So pretty much throughout this video, I want to share like my favorite moments throughout Friday the 13th, moments that I liked as I was watching the films, and also just share my overall experience, like the whole video is about itself, of how I initially got into Friday the 13th. So honestly, I kind of want to start talking about like how I discovered Friday the 13th, because I feel like if I start off with that, would be a really good segue to like other topics that we discuss when it comes to Friday the 13th in this video as well. So when it comes to that, honestly, I believe I remember seeing like a hockey mask in the Bride of Chucky. Like if you guys recall in the beginning of Bride of Chucky, you see this hockey mask. I believe you also see like Michael Myers mask, and you see like Freddy's glove. Like this is like way before you see Tiffany in the beginning of the movie, before she brings Chucky's like cut up body home and then she stitches them back together. So I remember seeing that hockey mask there, and when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, what's so special about this hockey mask? And then I started hearing people saying things about Jason, and I was like, okay, who's Jason Voorhees? Like what series did Jason Voorhees come from? And then I eventually checked out the Friday the 13th movie. His mother was the killer in that movie, and she went out and she was killing all of these different kinds of counselors that was at Crystal Lake when they were running that little summer camp around that time. For the most part, people were just chilling and doing whatever the hell they wanted. But she was pretty much doing like all the slaughtering in that film because she was trying to get revenge because of what they did to Jason. Because pretty much like the whole story behind that is that Jason drowned and none of the camp counselors were paying attention to him, and a lot of the kids there were picking on him. And it kind of sucks because, Jason had like a disability and stuff like that, and he used to get picked on all the time, and Jason was just thrown to the wolves pretty much. He ended up dying because of that drowning. Obviously we see him later in like the second movie and other movies that come after that, but that was the whole like motivation when it came to Jason's mother, where she went out and did all these killings, all these counselors there. So that's pretty much like what starts off the whole story. And then you see what happens in that movie, and then Jason sees from the water what happened to his mother, so then he goes out on a vengeance. He ends up killing the final girl in that movie, and then as all of the films follow, Jason just goes on a killing spree, and he just wants to avenge his mother because of what they did to her, and also because of how he was treated before. So at least the motivation that Jason had in those movies made a lot of sense, considering all the stuff that he went through. So because of that, I got really interested in Jason's character, because I was like, okay, I really feel for this character. Like, is it right for him to go out and kill people? No, but I can understand like why he feels this way, because of how he was treated and how he wants to go out there and pretty much just get his revenge. So I can understand when it comes to like his point of view, but obviously at the end of the day, it's not right to kill anybody. It's never right to do anything like that. And then we get more insight on him throughout the movies. Obviously a lot more people learn about his story. There's just like a lot of iconic kills obviously throughout the Friday the 13th films. The aesthetic of Jason looks really cool. Like he's very big and bulky. He has his hockey mask. He has that iconic machete that he carries around him all the time. So I just really liked the look of Jason. I thought he was a very cool looking character. So I just ended up watching a lot of the movies, like the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, which I believe was the final Friday. And then of course we had like Jason X later on, where it was pretty much Jason going into space and he becomes Uber Jason and he becomes unbeatable. And then you have to like grab him and just send him crashing down to Earth in order to finally put an end to Jason once and for all. But obviously there's never an end for Jason, because like we see from a lot of these slasher movies, they just keep on coming back over and over and over again. It's kind of like they have the Monopoly get out of jail free card, where it's like, okay, Jason's going to be using this card every single time, so he could just keep coming back over and over and over again, and continuing to do what he normally does throughout all his films. And I have to say, like, when it comes to like my favorite movie, when it comes to like the Friday the 13th series, I think it's Jason Lives. I think Jason Lives is probably my favorite movie. I believe that was actually part 6, because the final Friday is when Jason quote unquote died, but then you had where there was another person that was pretending to be Jason, going off on all these kills because of what happened to his son in the 5th movie. And then we end up seeing Jason resurrected because Tommy accidentally makes a little mistake and brings him back, and then he just goes on a complete killing spree like Jason normally does. And I just really like that movie, because I believe that movie itself is actually when Jason starts to become superhuman, where he starts getting those like zombie like abilities, where he gets like all of this like superhuman strength, and he's just like really hard to put an end to, because before, you know, he was just a normal human being, but because he was resurrected, now he's like superhuman zombie like figure, and he's just like insanely strong. So yeah, part 6, Jason Lives, was definitely my favorite film. And obviously I love the other films as well that came after it, like when we eventually got the Freddy versus Jason matchup, which I absolutely love that film. But like, I enjoyed every single Jason movie. Obviously none of them are like perfect, but I just enjoyed them as a fan of the Friday the 13th series, mainly because I just enjoyed seeing all the new characters that were introduced, and seeing like what Jason does next, and seeing what kind of motivations he has this time, and how he's going to plan out these certain kills in the movie, and what the whole motivation is behind like various characters throughout the film. So those are like my overall thoughts, like when it comes to like the movies of it, and also my overall thoughts when it comes to like Jason Voorhees as a whole. I just really like the series. I think it's like very entertaining. I just really like Friday the 13th. Like, whenever you think about Friday the 13th, like whenever it comes up at any month, because like throughout the 12 months that we have throughout the year, there's always going to be a Friday the 13th. So whenever I see it, it's like, okay, that's Jason Day. And whenever you go to like watch a program on TV, oh, hey, look, a random Friday the 13th movie is on right now. And you also see like a whole bunch of memes circulating online whenever it's Friday the 13th as well. So yeah, it's like you're celebrating Jason Day. Like whenever that 13th on a Friday comes throughout the month, you just think of Jason right away. So that's like another cool thing that I noticed growing up, like once I became a fan of the Friday the 13th series and seeing all these different kinds of things play out. But when it comes to like other moments in my life that I really appreciated when it came to Friday the 13th, was probably last year. And this channel wasn't around the time, otherwise I would probably speak about it and get my thoughts on my experience there. But last year I actually met Kane Hodder for the first time when I went to a convention, and it was a convention that has like a lot of different actors and actresses when it came to like various horror movies, like Nick Castle, who was the original Michael Myers, which unfortunately I wasn't able to get to when I was there, was actually there. And he was like signing autographs and taking pictures. There was just like a whole bunch of like different actors and actresses that you guys are probably familiar with that were at that convention. And I remember waiting in like an hour to 2 hour length line just to meet Kane Hodder, because when in my life am I ever going to meet Kane Hodder again? Obviously I can't tell what the future brings me, but I felt like in that moment, since I felt like this was my opportunity to meet him, I felt like, okay, I got to take the chance now. I got to go in there and I got to go meet this guy. So I waited in that line. I ended up talking to this one guy about like a whole bunch of horror movies to pass the time. And then I eventually came across Kane Hodder. I took a picture with him. I got his autograph and I have it hanging up on my wall that you could probably see behind me in this video. So it was like a really cool experience, because it's like, it's just really cool just to like meet some of your favorite celebrities when it comes to like different voice actors you like, or different like actors and actresses and like movies that you end up watching that you happen to be really big fans of. So it was a very cool experience, and I definitely plan on going to that convention later this year. And obviously I will make videos talking about my experience there, what my plans overall are for that. So definitely stay tuned for that. But overall, that's honestly like my whole thoughts on how I got into the Friday the 13th franchise. I just had a lot of good moments growing up, discovering who Jason was just because I watched Bride of Chucky and I saw like a hockey mask in the beginning of the movie. So I decided to let my mind just search online and see who Jason was, and I thought the character was like really cool, and I just really loved watching the movies. I like the whole setting where it's just like on a lake and you have all these different counselors coming like every single movie. You got like a whole group of people, and then they get eliminated like one by one in each film. And then of course you have like that final girl every single time, just like you do in like other horror movies. So I had a lot of fun watching it. I loved the insight that we got on various things when it came to the film, like insight on Jason, insight on Familia Voorhees, and just the overall story of like Jason as a whole. It was just really cool to watch like every single film and just getting more insight on everything that's going on. And obviously, you know, the people that Jason came in contact with that he had some beef with, like when it came to like Tommy, for example. So yeah, those are like my overall thoughts on like how I became like this big fan of Friday the 13th. So I'm honestly curious to hear like your guys' thoughts on this. Like, are you guys fans of Friday the 13th? Do you guys have a story that you guys want to share with me as well when it comes to how you got into the Friday the 13th franchise? Be sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. And also, if you guys enjoyed this video today, be sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And also, if you guys want to follow my social media when it comes to my TikTok, my Twitter, and my Instagram, all of that is located in the description below. Be sure to click on the bell for notifications so you guys are notified right away whenever I upload a new video on the channel. But other than that, I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day, wherever the day may be, if it's the daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.